Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're diving into the chronological evolution of the Tehreek-e-Labbaik Pakistan, or TLP. We are going to map out exactly how a group that started as a highly focused single-issue protest movement transformed, in less than a decade, mind you, into the fourth largest political party in Pakistan. It is an absolutely fascinating case study of religious populism. And by following the data and the historical timeline, we're going to see exactly how they built up their massive power base. So let's jump right in. To map out this wild trajectory, we'll be looking at their origins, the pivotal 2017 Faizabad sit-in, the Asia Bibi protests, and their initial electoral rise, the recent shift in leadership alongside the intense 2021 clashes, and finally, how they cemented themselves as a mainstream political force. All right, Part 1, the origins of the TLP and the birth of a movement. So the TLP didn't just spring up out of nowhere. They found their strength by tapping directly into the Bari sect. Now, this is a broad, Sufi-oriented Islamic revivalist movement that already represented a massive chunk of Pakistan's Muslim population. By plugging into this pre-existing network, the TLP was able to seamlessly organize everyone from rural madrasa students to urban professionals into a super cohesive political identity. The real ideological spark for all of this actually goes back to the 2011 arrest of Mumtaz Qadri, who was detained for the assassination of Punjab's governor over blasphemy laws. What started as a movement to free Qadri evolved quickly. By August 2015, the wheelchair-bound cleric Khadim Hussain Rizvi formally founded the TLP in Karachi with just 75 founding members, literally a handful of people. But by March 2016, right after Qadri's execution, they led a massive march to Chowk in Islamabad. They had officially arrived as a highly mobilized street force. From day one, the party used a very repetitive, yet undeniably effective, three-step political playbook. Step 1. Identify a specific religious grievance, like a change to a political oath or foreign cartoons. Step 2, mobilize massive sit-ins and blockades that quite literally paralyze major cities. And Step 3, use that leverage to extract direct government concessions and sign deals. They found a way to convert religious grievances into unignorable street power. Which brings us to Part 2, the 2017 Faizabad sit-in. This is really where they perfected that blueprint for power. The trigger for this event was incredibly specific. In the Elections Bill 2017, the wording of an electoral oath regarding the Prophet Muhammad's finality was tweaked from "I solemnly swear" to "I believe." The government claimed it was just a clerical error, but the TLP, they cast it as a deliberate weakening of Islamic identity. This seemingly minor textual change sparked massive outrage and gave them the perfect rallying cry. The sheer scale of their response was just unprecedented. Tens of thousands of protesters locked down the Faizabad interchange, which is the key artery into the capital city of Islamabad, and they held this ground for 20 continuous days. It escalated into violent clashes with the police, completely overwhelming local law enforcement and grinding the federal government to a total halt. And the outcome? It was a total, overwhelming victory for the party. After 20 days, 6 deaths, and over 200 injuries, Federal Law Minister Zahid Hamid was forced to resign, meeting the TLP's main demand. The military actually had to step in to broker the final agreement, and protesters were not only given safe passage, but were even seen receiving cash handouts. It was a defining moment. It proved their organized sit-ins could force the state to completely capitulate. Moving right along to Part 3, Asia Bibi and their electoral rise. It was time to convert those crowds into actual votes. In September 2017, they backed an independent candidate in a by-election who pulled a surprise 7,000 votes. Fast forward to the July 2018 general election, their first time competing, and they shocked the establishment by securing 2.2 million votes nationwide. But they definitely didn't abandon the streets. By November 2018, they immediately launched crippling protests following the Supreme Court's acquittal of Asia Bibi, a Christian woman on death row for blasphemy. Once again, they forced the government straight back to the negotiating table. Now for Part 4. We're looking at their new leadership and the intense clashes of 2021. A major generational shift. Up to this point, the charismatic Khadim Hussain Rizvi was the glue holding it all together. He was known for these highly effective Punjabi speeches that deeply resonated with the working class. But when he passed away in November 2020, power transferred to his eldest son, Saad Hussain Rizvi. A lot of people wondered if a relatively unknown young man could hold the party together. Well, Saad quickly proved he could command the exact same loyalty, seamlessly escalating protests and actually institutionalizing the party's growing electoral machinery. Under Saad's leadership, 2021 became a total boiling point. He called for the expulsion of the French ambassador over cartoons published in France. When the government preemptively arrested him under the Anti-Terrorism Act, the TLP absolutely erupted. They staged incredibly violent protests across Pakistan. Multiple police officers were tragically killed, a dozen were taken hostage, and the situation got so severe that the government officially banned the TLP as a terrorist organization that April. But here is the absolute craziest part. Just months later, by November 2021, the political winds completely flip. Following even more intense protests and some serious backroom negotiations, the state totally walked back its stance. They unbanned the party, removed them from the terrorism list, and released Saad Rizvi from prison. They went from being a banned terrorist entity back to a legalized political party in the blink of an eye. Talk about whiplash. Which leads us to part 5, becoming a mainstream force. They were about to significantly expand that populist playbook. To grow their appeal beyond strictly religious boundaries, the TLP tried a totally new strategy. In early 2023, they led a nationwide shutter-down strike. And get this, supporters wore yellow construction vests, mirroring the French yellow vests, to protest soaring petrol prices and inflation tied to the IMF. They effectively rebranded themselves in that moment as the voice of the economically frustrated working class. And you guys, the data shows this pivot absolutely worked. By August 2023, a national Gallup survey revealed a startling statistic. Saad Rizvi held a massive 38% approval rating. That actually made him the second most appreciated political leader in all of Pakistan, placing him ahead of veteran, long-established politicians. Let's put that into perspective with the 2024 election results. These numbers objectively quantify their remarkable growth. They secured nearly 2.9 million votes nationally, officially making the TLP the fourth largest political party in Pakistan. And in the massive, crucial province of Punjab, they became the third largest party, grabbing roughly 2.5 million votes and securing a provincial assembly seat. They are literally no longer a fringe movement. They are a major electoral force. Looking at the whole timeline right up to the present day, we see a party that continues to leverage its foundational blueprint. From the early 2023 fuel strikes to their dominant showing at the ballot box in 2024, all the way to October 2025, where they organized massive protests outside the U.S. Embassy in solidarity with Palestinians. Their ability to rapidly mobilize massive crowds on demand hasn't faded one bit. So, as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a critical question to ponder. As the TLP transitions from a banned street movement into a massive electoral powerhouse with millions of dedicated voters, how does a state manage a populist party that has repeatedly proven it can paralyze the country at will? It's a stark look at what happens when highly organized street power directly challenges and often overcomes state authority. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer, and keep questioning the data.